Robert Vincent Barnes was born on January 11th of 1922 to James and Doris. He grew up in a small town in Iowa during a time of great prosperity, but the good times didn't necessarily fall upon he and his family. The roaring 20s were immediately followed by the financial collapse, highlighted by the fall of Wall Street, and became known as the Great Depression. A more apt description of the time could not be given. When I was growing up, as like most every other teenager, I was sure that I knew more than my parents, and especially my dad. I just couldn't understand some of his thoughts and behaviors, and I was sure that he was clueless. I continued to think these thoughts for many years before I finally decided that I'd do better in life. And then I learned the rest of the story that led me to understand who he was. When Dad was only 12 years old, his father abandoned the family. Then the country was in the midst of the Great Depression, and his father just couldn't cope with having a wife and 4 children. I'm sure things were tough, and it would seem that things were just bad enough that many men in the country were doing the exact same thing. Families everywhere became fatherless, as jobs became scarce and money was practically non-existent. My father, at the age of 12, was suddenly considered to be the man of the family. His mother and 3 sisters became dependent on him to help out as best he could. For whatever reason, he managed to get a job working at a gas station, while his own father was either unable or unwilling to work what many might consider a meaningless job. He continued to work there for years as he, with strong encouragement from his mother, continued to study at school. Every payment he received, he turned every penny over to his mom. All the years of school, including the all-important high school years, he continued to give all his pay to his mom to care for the family. Every single penny. He never had money to hang with friends, take a date to the movies, even to buy a treat for himself. He had assumed the responsibility of earning money for his family, and he took it very serious. Despite the challenges he faced as a teenager, growing up in a difficult time in history, I am proud to say that my dad still managed to graduate high school. I cannot even imagine the fortitude it would take to work nearly full-time hours each afternoon and evening after a complete day at school. After graduation, he moved away in search of better jobs and better pay. He continued to send money home after taking only what he would need for rent and food. He did this for years until he married and began his own family. After learning about this and reflecting on the expectations he placed on me, I began to realize better his mannerisms and thoughts. He wanted better for us, but thought we should learn to be responsible at the same time. And now I have a much better respect for the man, who he was, and the lessons he taught me in my youth. I realized what it took to be a man. I understood then that my dad was actually the very definition of being a man. I vowed at that time to make my dad proud of me. I would care for my family as best I could, even in challenging times. I like to think I've done well, as later in my father's life, he told me that very fact. I have never heard anything better or more important to me. I have many stories I could tell of Dad and how he became my hero. He was a great man, and I think of him every single day now. He is no longer alive in the physical sense, but he lives forever in my thoughts and heart. I love you, Dad. Happy 100 years.